All right, so in this video, we're discussing the fastest and best way for you, specifically for you, to get your business to $100,000 a month. If you don't know me, my name's Eli Wilde. I've been at this since 2005 when I went to an event and I saw a dude speak and it moved me to do something unreasonable in the moment where I took out my credit card and I invested twice my rent, not knowing if I'd be able to eat or be homeless the next month because I was so moved, just unreasonably moved to act. And that segues into this video because the best way for you to sell to get to $100,000 a month is going to be the way that you've been sold. So there's something in that charismatic speaker that aligns with the charismatic person in you that needs to come out. If you're completely repulsed by that and you don't like the emotional connection of, say, a Tony Robbins, and that's who influenced me, that's who sold me, to the other spectrum, you have what's really popular now is the selling style of like Alex Hormozi, who's very logic-based in his selling style. And regardless, whether it's logic or emotion, this argument is out there all the time. What sells people, logic or emotion? Well, it's emotion. And the people that say that they're logical, well, they just want to feel smart. They want to feel intelligent, which is still a feeling. And so always be connected to the fact that it's a feeling that's driving people's buying behavior. How you label that, how you create context around that, how you have a process of eliciting values connected to your product, service, or idea through you, through your system, through your process is what's going to move people. But now back to the title of this video. What is the best way for you to get to $100,000 a month? So there's something resonating with you in the people that you follow. For me, quick story, I was selling dental products over the phone and I wasn't good at it. And I read a lot of books, but they seemed dry. And books are great. I still read books. You should read books. But when I got a hold of a Tony Robbins CD, there was this voice and this charisma, and I couldn't stop listening to it. And I was like, what is that? This guy doesn't seem to have some script. There's an authenticity here. There's something there that allowed me to open up and feel like this wasn't just this logical thing. It felt alive and I felt emotional. And that's why a lot of people are connected to Tony. Now, that emotional draw out, that can be like you see these people online yelling at people like, hey, step up, you little bitch. Like they're yelling at people. And while I think that's ridiculous, I live here in Miami and you might know this gentleman I'm talking about, not my style, but there's a guy that lives here, tattoos, steroids, drives fancy cars and calls people out and yells at people and cusses a lot. And he makes a lot of money. For me, I think it'd be insane for anybody to give that man money, but that's because I'm not his avatar. Now, he teaches a course and then he basically teaches people to sell that same way. I heard about this guy and you might know who I'm talking about, but I contacted him on in Instagram. And it was personally him in the DMs, and he's making millions a month. And he was kind of like, he was very rude. And I subtly said to him, I was like, hey, we're going to be speaking on the same stage at some point. Better watch your mouth. Because regardless of all the yelling, when people yell and scream like that, it's usually done out of insecurity. They got something to prove. And he didn't dig in, didn't know anything about me. But for me, like, because of this guy's success, usually I'm the easiest sale. Because I'm like, hey, I can at least learn one thing from somebody who's successful, but that person that is teaching you to be a certain way in your business is also going to affect the way you sell. And I knew that I don't want to sell that way. So the people that influence you there's something you need to be connected to them in, meaning there's something that's attracting you to that person. Now, for me, I was repulsed by it. And they say this in social media that you should be polarizing. I think that's true and it's not true. I think you should stand strongly for what you represent, but I think a lot of people are polarizing just to be polarizing and they get attention, but then a lot of times you get into their program and they have no substance. This gentleman that I'm talking about, I do know people that joined his program and he was using my one friend who's a multi-8-figure guy, like very famous guy, speaks on Tony Robbins' stage. And he even, said to this individual I'm talking about here in Miami, he said, hey, quit using my freaking name. Because he didn't want to be associated with somebody that was that calling people out. But again, it works for a lot of people, and a lot of people that fires up the masculine in them. On the other end of the spectrum, there is this heart-centered, empathetic, kind, embodied, love, spiritual coach. Now that's a whole different end of the spectrum. I say this as a coach, and I've been coaching people for 20 years now. I think, this is from my experience, I think you need to be able to call people on their shit, say, hey, step the hell up, and kick people in the butt a little bit. And then you also need to be able to tell people, like, I love you. You're good enough. Like, you're worthy. Being a good coach is knowing how to be in a moment based on where the person's at, not where you're at. You've heard this analogy before. If everything you have is, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And so these people that are nailing their content, nailing their prospects, like calling them out, they're going to be limited in their ability, their capacity to coach and actually move people into a resource state where they leave touch, moved, and inspired to actually act. Now, getting people angry, that can be it. Getting people to feel loved and embraced, a lot of it depends on the avatar, the outcome, the path, and the person. And so you need to take all that into account. And so for you specifically to get to $100,000 a month, you want to find people that you resonate with. And there is no limitation of people that you can follow today, but don't just look at their results, look at how they got there. And another metaphor that I give to people that are, looking around out there, it's like I tell people, if you wanted to learn how to fly a plane and you were taught to just do what the other people do, you start modeling or studying or even copying the people who are flying a plane at 50,000 feet, and then your plane is on the ground and you adjust the dials in the cockpit as the same as the people at 50,000 feet. That's a Tony Robbins or, insert name of super famous people up there. If you do what they do, you're never going to take off. And so really look at the journey and also the tactics. Those really successful people, like what they did to build their business, a lot of it's not relevant today. I got into this sales and speaking game working for my mentor, Tony Robbins, in 2005. I was 27 years old, and now I coach guys that are in their mid-20s that are making like high 6 or even 7 figures a month. That would have been impossible when I was that age, like almost impossible. I mean, less than like a handful of people were doing it. In this industry, nobody was doing it. Even the top companies were making anywhere near that, especially not in profit. But since then, there's been this social media explosion. There's been processes that we can model that work faster than ever. And so what you want to be thinking about specifically for you as you're modeling people, don't just model what they do, model their beliefs and their internal mental syntax. That is, how do they process information? And so be looking at the lens through which they see life and business and communication, and look at the people they've actually worked with and or helped. In the Bible, I'm not a big Bible person. If you are, that's amazing, but I think it's a good book. They call it a good book for a good reason. And they says, by their fruits, you shall know them. And so whether it's a coach or a mentor, you want to follow somebody that has results, but not just results in, like, say, financial results or like somebody, even physical results. Like somebody can be in great shape, but they can take steroids. They might cheat on the way there, or they might do it in a way that's not sustainable for them, and especially not for you, because it's not in alignment with your values. And so you want to be picking up on all that. Now, as it relates to your business is basically 4 pillars. There's a marketing thing, there's a sales thing, there's a delivery thing, and then there's a scale thing. I got those 4 pillars from a good friend and coach, Taki Moore: attract, convert, deliver, and scale. So attraction is your marketing, conversion is your sales engine, delivery is going to a more scalable delivery system that through done with you products instead of done for you. Instead of one-on-one, you want to do group, or DIY, where you have like low ticket products. You want to start high ticket best you can, and then go into low ticket. And that's where you can scale. And so the delivery, ideally you want to have scaled delivery, group coaching, where it's not just one-on-one a bunch of your time. And that fourth pillar is scale. That's replacing yourself with people and or process. So attract, convert, deliver, and scale. Now, YouTube, what I'm doing right now, this is a marketing engine that typically down below, there's always going to be, a comment section or something. And by the way, if you're watching this still, down below, we'll just, you can put this in the comments, frames. I've spoken through a lot of frames in this area. When I outsold many of the most famous people in the industry, kind of got my claim to fame. There's other videos on that, how I did 12 million in a day. It was all framing of the offer, framing of the audience, framing of myself, framing of my authority, all those things. If you want some of my favorite frames, comment frames below, and we'll get you a PDF version and kind of a worksheet with some of my favorite frames and a really cool story that you're going to love. That's going to change the game for you as far as how you frame your content, because regardless of your thing, your product, your service, your idea, it's not so much the thing, it's the POV or the perception of the value of the thing. And so that's all in framing. My favorite resource that I created is down below. You can comment frames and we'll just send it to you. We'll send you a link and you can get it, but that's all framing. And so here, I'm putting out content, and you probably know this, but you need to have something of value, like I just mentioned, that is a lead magnet. So what happens is you're going to comment, you're going to put something in there, you're going to ask for it, and we're going to send you this cool thing, but in exchange, we're going to get your email, or you're going to follow me here, and then eventually we're going to build a relationship. So we all know people buy from people they know, like, and trust, and the most important of those three is trust. Now, because of the state of the industry, because things have gotten saturated and there's so many freaking people, buying cycles have gotten longer. And you probably know this, there's top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of the funnel. Bottom of the funnel is a conversion event or a sales call. I like conversion events, selling through events. I was sold through an event, and so I naturally like selling at events. If you hate going to events and seminars, then that's probably not for you. Find what sold you and then just model the same thing. Find the people that have moved you the most or you feel that are most knowledgeable, and there's no judgment. Just find what motivates you and do the same thing. But what is consistent across the board, you're typically going to have people that get nurtured by you through YouTube or content or email. And we're finding across the industry now that middle of funnel nurture sequences are longer because of this trust recession. However, I think in terms of frames, and I think in terms of change across time. And so we're always looking and researching in my company, how do we speed up that process to get people into this buying state? So I have actually a sales call in a couple minutes. I'll hop on a call with another 8-figure entrepreneur who wants me to help him with his event. And he's been following me, and he got sold on doing events. So he's doing his first event. I think 500 people paid $2,000 each to be there. He's pretty well known, but they're making a $30,000 offer from stage, and just 10% of that room, 50 people at 30,000, which is low, very low. You're looking at over $1 million, $1.5 million. It's not a bad payday. So I love events. They work. You do one of these a quarter, and it's a great way to build community and authority, but they must be done right. So with that said, comment down below if you want the frames, little PDF that we created, some value for you. They're super cool. Have fun with it. And as always, tell us what's going on in your business. I'm going to start replying to all these comments below. I've been doing it as we're building this channel. So I'd love to hear from you. What are your challenges? What are you excited about? What's going on? If you like this content, if you hate it, whatever, put down there. I'll see it. And until then, much love. Take care. Bye-bye.